Hello, it's great to be back with all of you again. I'm Lana Kay, and let me ask you a question. Have you ever wondered what a vegan lifestyle is all about? If you have, you're in luck. We have with us today a gentleman that adheres to a total vegan lifestyle. Let's meet Kevin Otero. Welcome to the program, Kevin.
Thank you.
So good to have you with us. So Kevin, let's jump right in. Define for us what exactly is a vegan-based diet?
To me, you know, what you would read is no animal products at all, right? But to me, it basically consists of mostly vegetables and fruits. A lot of people like to eat processed food, as in like pasta, may it be a lot of bread, may it be a lot of candy, bars, because they make those vegans too. And to me, it's more of whole food, literally vegetables and fruits.
And fruits it consists of. And let me explain something right away. Today we're talking about Kevin's journey. So, you know, Kevin's not a doctor, he's not a specialist. This is Kevin's account of when he changed over from a regular diet to a vegan diet. So, Kevin, how long have you been a vegan?
4 years.
4 years, that's a pretty long time. And in that 4 years, so, okay, well, first of all, Kevin, what's the difference between being, you said you like fruits and vegetables is your mainstay. So, but what's the difference in being a vegetarian and being a vegan? Because I think there's a difference, is there not?
Yeah,
okay.
So the vegetarian, I think, is they actually don't eat the animal, but they can eat things that come from animals. And do things like milk and cheese, eggs, because they're not the actual animal, but things that come from it.
The byproduct. So when you say that you're not going to eat meat, you mean anything that's derived from meat, and
right.
You mean eggs and anything that comes from a meat
Correct. From an animal, from anything
that
has
comes from an animal. There's the word. Okay. Now, Kevin, what motivated you? You're so young. What motivated you to I'm going to make this switch?
So, I got my first apartment, and I noticed that I was just constantly eating out. My life wasn't getting any better, and I decided to kind of talk to myself about the way I've been living, and I figured out that eating is a big habit, a lot of money wasted, and there's a way we can make it cheaper and more healthy. And I found it out, kept studying it, and it was hard at the beginning, but as the journey went on, it just keeps getting easier and easier.
So, but it is difficult. It was hard for you at the beginning.
Oh, of course. Yep.
Okay. Now, because there's plenty of health-related facts, Kevin, that prove that this diet, this plant-based diet, is the way to go. I mean, it controls diabetes. I've read up on some of this, lowers blood pressure, your heart health, weight loss, many things happen, good things happen for you when you become vegan. But you're young, and so you didn't experience any of those symptoms. You just decided, I'm going to quit eating meat.
Yep.
And oh wow,
it kind of got to the point where I couldn't finish food. It wasn't right. It just didn't feel satisfying to keep eating these things, and it was just halfway. Money was being thrown away, like I said, and started eating stuff that didn't make me feel so full so fast. Eating things that made me feel energetic.
Now, let's stop. We said, you know, weight loss, but let's stop right there, Kevin, because you can be, and I know some, overweight vegans. And that's kind of disappointing because much of the motivation is toward weight loss.
Right.
So, but on any diet, I guess, Kevin, if you overeat
Yep.
on any diet, if you're gluten-free but you just eat and eat and eat, or if you're vegan and eat and eat and eat, even
Yep.
though it's just vegan foods, you
Yep.
will gain weight.
Yep.
So, but you sure haven't. So have you noticed, you said your vitality, do you sleep any better? I mean, what all, just try to, you know, tell us, so maybe we'll want to do this.
Yeah, the way that I used to run track back in high school, and I used to get up and run, but if I'd stopped for a while and tried to do that again, it's not the same. Now it's like I never stopped. I can start running, and it's like I've never stopped running, even
Wow.
if it's been a while. It's like, you know, it still depends on what I eat during that day, but I basically start my day off with a bunch of sugars, as people would call it, but it's really natural stuff because I eat dates, like we were talking about, and bananas and things like that, that just energize you. And if I eat things like that and go to the park and try to go on a run, it's, like I said, even if I hadn't run in 2 months and I ate like that and went and ran, I'm going.
I see. I see that. So, okay, now it does take more effort because you do have to pass that McDonald's,
Right.
you have to pass Wendy's,
The
and so
smells.
and I know. So it does take more effort though to say, you know, I'm going to go home and make my vegan meal.
Right,
I'm
that's-
bypassing all this.
That's why there's like the little rocks on the road when you start the journey, because we are satisfied and kind of programmed to think, you know, the only food we know is everything that's been shown to us, but there's more food out there that we can go search, different cultures and things like that. But we kind of get on that meat substitute that aren't really so healthy for you. So therefore you can be a vegan and eat only meat substitute, and that's not really helping you out, because the actual meat probably is more healthier than that because it has vitamins and things. Things like that are really processed, like Vital Wheat gluten and tofu, which I cut out of my diet, but I used to eat it because we like to call them transition foods, things to help you
Make
get
that.
fats. Yep.
I understand that. That's very, and I think that's very helpful to help you stay on. If you would try to make this jump, just jump. You know, I'm not eating meat anymore. I think it's much better to do the step by step. Now that's out. That easy, and not so easy, but that slower transition in. I understand. I can just see that. Now, talk to us about this. Our society is so indoctrinated. Protein has to be meat. You know, and we think, you know, if I'm not eating meat, I'm not getting my protein. So talk to us about that. How do you get your protein? What do vegans do?
The first thing that I tell people is that each vegetable has protein, just not a high content. It just might be 10%. But just think about eating a big plate of salad. People don't think there's any protein in there. But the pepper has protein, the tomato has protein, may it be 10%, but it all has protein. And then, let's say, I always eat rice and beans. I'm a Caribbean, and that itself right there is tons of protein, rice and beans, no matter what you eat around it. That is probably like my daily support of protein, rice and beans. It's
Rice and beans.
That's like my, you know, your meat and potatoes. That's your
state, that's
my
your,
base.
I understand, your base. That's a great word. Okay, so then will you eat white rice? Are we always brown rice?
I always eat brown rice and quinoa.
Quinoa, brown rice, white rice.
Wild rice.
And wild rice. So those are our rices. Are they in with the beans in your dish? Are they on the side?
Yeah, it depends on how you prepare them. Sometimes, you know, we do a throw what you got in the pot and everything goes in together, and we make kind of like a soup. Or I'll just make the rice alone, boil some beans and season them really good, and just serve them on top. That's kind of how we do it back at home. And then, you know, serve like some plantains on the side with a little bit of lettuce on the side. But you know, you can basically do a lot of things. I make bean burgers with rice together. You can mix them together and make bean burgers out of them, you know, and then you kind of have...
So in 4 years, you would say you become a pretty good cook.
Oh, yeah. And it helped me become a good cook.
And it's helped you become a good cook. Okay, talk to us about milk. And, I mean, calcium. Our calcium, because we have to have milk, cheese, yogurt.
Right.
These are our calcium. If you're not eating, you're not going to get your calcium. Talk to us, how do we get calcium when we're vegan?
So, I know almonds are a pretty good source of calcium, and I probably got nuts on me right now. I eat nuts.
Okay, to keep that.
Yeah, this is a good way to keep the protein coming, you know, kind of like we were just talking about. But almonds is one of my favorite ones to chew on. You know, it's probably one of the most popular nuts there is. People love them. It got tons of calcium. Now, when you eat a lot of salads, I tried to get like chard, the really strong leafy greens.
Yes.
You know, because like kale, those are pretty big in calcium, you know, and then you got your broccolis and things like that are pretty good in calcium, but you kind of have to...
Chard is higher than broccoli.
Probably.
I would say it is because
but
it's...
broccoli's more dense, so it probably holds more.
Holds more, I got you. Yeah, makes sense.
Kale is probably one of the highest, for sure.
Of calcium.
Yeah, and when I eat a salad, I try to make sure, you know, kale or chard, one of those big greens is in it. With
To get
romaine,
that,
you know,
getting that
spinach,
calcium.
things like that, yep.
Thinking all the time. Now, Kevin, a lot I read about B12. Now, do you take supplement?
I do.
Okay, that's good to know, because why B12?
I don't supplement very well. I kind of do eventually, just because I don't think we do get enough, and that's a fact out there. But there are certain ways where a plant-based diet can get B12, and that's from nutritional yeast, which I do eat a lot. I make pesto instead of Parmesan. I use nutritional yeast, and that has B12 in it. You can also make date balls and put chlorella in it, and that has a good amount of B12 in it, But then when you eat bananas and potatoes and things like that, they have certain compounds inside of them that help you absorb B12.
Okay.
So when you eat,
great to know.
Yeah, when you eat a really well-based diet, balanced diet, the way that it's going to break down, it's good. Like, it has to pass your elam to be able to produce B12. And certain things, the way we eat are clogged, so it doesn't get to make it all the way down there, and we don't get enough B12.
Okay, so now, Kevin, how would you know? How do you know I may need to go higher on calcium? And that, do you have blood test from the doctor? Do you just kind of realize, how do you stay on track with, I'm sure I'm getting enough?
I actually don't do that. I don't know a good way to,
Well, most people, really, if we're eating the milk and the meat and that, we're not doing it either.
Right.
So it's not like,
the average person's not like,
no, like saying, how's my calcium? We're just not. We just think, well, I'm eating cheese, I'm eating meat, I must be okay on both of those
right
on items. But so you don't go and be checked. You just sort of, it seems like you just kind of intuitively know how to balance all of this to stay healthy. Okay, now, Kevin, do you miss any non-vegan foods? Is it hard now after 4 years? Do you ever say, man, I wish I had a Big Mac? Say yes.
No, that's tough.
No.
And I live with many vegans. Like, my fiance is a vegan, and then my parents, they're vegans. And some of them, they might have like certain tastes and feels yet that they're like accustomed to.
Yes.
And they'll smell it and they're like, oh, like I want
sounds
something like
good.
That. Yeah. But I'm kind of past that point. If I smell something that reminds me, like, oh, well, when I smell things, I smell herbs. I smell spices.
I see. I see.
Because you don't take a piece of steak from the cow and just eat it.
True.
You gotta season it. And what I smell, they're smelling meat. I'm smelling pepper, garlic,
good, those
onion. Hold on.
aromatic
and then I'll try
herbs.
to make something
like
that kind of tastes like that.
That tastes like that.
So I think that there's always, you can look online and there's plenty of substitute for everything that you can make at home. Not like sell at the store, because that would be the process that we were talking about.
And that you
make
have
it at home.
and you have done without, no process.
Right. Yes.
No process.
While, yeah.
Now, if somebody snuck you in some meat in addition, you couldn't identify it for some reason, would that really get to you?
That'd be a good question. I even wonder if it's happened sometimes. I know that
because that's
it
tough.
could be a placebo to some people. After they know, they kind of make themselves feel
sick or
Because I know I've done it myself with like bread and things like that. Because like I said, I don't really try to eat many processed things, many breads. I eat a lot of, like, if I'm gonna make a burrito, it's gonna be with the lettuce wrap. It's not gonna be with the wheat wrap.
Right.
And things like that. So when I eat a wheat wrap, kind of makes me feel full and not right. My back hurts, and it's just like, maybe it's just in my head,
Right. It's psychologically now because you don't want to do that. So is wheat, I know that's the gluten stuff. So are you kind of past that too? I mean, do you watch it? You'd still be vegan.
Yeah.
But you don't really.
That's a personal thing. Yeah. Like I said, I like whole foods, which that means like no process at all. And you kind of have to break the wheat down and dehydrate it to make, add water to it to make.
Even spaghetti.
Yep, spaghetti. But I make, zucchini spirals.
For your spaghetti dish.
Yep.
That's your pasta.
And that's whole food.
Isn't this interesting? Okay, Kevin, you recently had a baby.
Yes.
The baby's mom, she's vegan.
Yes.
So the baby's vegan.
Yes.
Okay, so now what did the baby do about that milk? Babies drink milk, not your baby, maybe.
Yeah, he actually is still getting milk from his mama.
Okay, so he's got his milk. Then what happens? Then he goes into, of course, I guess baby food is a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
And stuff. Okay.
And that's another thing, you know, that's more of a process that would kind of be labeled as processed too. And I don't agree with that. Some of his family get him, you know, things that are already made, and that's okay with me because they buy it organic still, and it's based off of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
But when he's with me and when we're at home, I steam him some sweet potatoes, let them cool down, and he can stew those himself. Yep.
Mash, and then he takes those. So when Dad's got him, he's a total vegan.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, one kind of thing that surprised me the most on reading about it, Kevin, is no honey.
No honey, yeah.
No, but bees are not meat animals. So why not honey?
It's kind of the same thing as, like, you know, the vegetarian part of it, where the bee comes from the honey because they make it. You know, it's kind of like it's a byproduct, and that's a part where a lot of people are on the line about. Like, my parents don't do it, so I guess they would be considered plant-based. And I agree with honey. I don't do honey myself just because I don't ever buy it, you know. But my family buy it, and they buy local honey, and it's a wild honey,
from wild bee honey. Wild, I know. I've seen the label.
Which is actually good for you and your immune, and I'm sure everybody knows that. You know, as long as you're getting some local honey, it's really good for your immune, and people do it around, especially around.
But you do not.
I do not.
You do not. What's our sweetener? What are we going to do about our sweet tooth when this hits us and we're trying to go vegan? What are we going to use?
My favorite thing is dates. You can do a lot with dates. I sometimes put a little bit of water, mash them in the Vitamix, and then add it to something. You can add it to whatever. You can add it to your oatmeal to sweeten it up. There's always coconut. There's kind of rotten bananas, as people will call them, but I like to call those sweet bananas. You know, they're really good. They're actually have some type of scientific proof that they might be a little bit better if they have brown spots on them.
Well, you know, and my dad was in the military in India, and he said that they couldn't believe that the GIs would eat the yellow bananas. In India, when he was there, they turned dark, and that was their ripe banana. Yeah. So you're probably onto something with that. What about restaurants, Kevin? What do we do now? Since you're so strict, I mean that in a good way. So Olive Garden, because their pasta is pasta, I was thinking maybe Olive Garden, if you just got a marinara and pasta and the salad, and then you'd be okay. But you wouldn't be okay. Because you would skip on that. You just go with the salad. Yeah. Would that bother you to skip on that pasta now?
No, I'm a person that I really like to cook. It's not a thing that, you know, I didn't know I liked to cook until I started cooking.
And now you love. Isn't this great?
It's a creation. You know, it's like, to me, I see it as art, and you put a lot of things together, and you know, you can either do bad or do good, and most of the time, it seems to be okay. And you keep learning. Yep. Well, Kevin, we're almost out of time. Any comments for our audience that you would like them to know about, to leave them with, you know, your vegan journey? I'd just like to give a tip to people. It might not even be to vegan people, just people who want to eat healthier and live at a lower price. You can always start by, you know, buying produce that's going to last you a long time. You can start by, if you eat a lot of rice and beans, you know, getting them by the bulk, and getting dry beans works a lot for me. It saves me a lot of money because a can of beans will cost you $2.29, but you can get a pound of beans, which is the same thing as the can, for $1.99, and then you soak it, it doubles up, so you got double the can. But you cook it, kind of doubles up a little bit again, so you got kind of 3 cans for a little bit cheaper. You know, it kind of saves you money that way, and that's how I learned to manage my money as eating organic and vegan and a lot of vegetables. Kevin, thank you so much for being here with us today. Haven't we learned a lot from him and his journey into veganism? You've been listening to Kevin Otero. His contact information will follow. You can get his email with any questions. And there's no doubt that this vegan diet is healthful. It's the motivation and commitment to that diet. So if you decide,
Good luck, and until next time, you be happy and keep smiling, and I'll see you soon.